finding a way to find my own calm, and that it has a ripple effect on being beneficial for my whole family, whether it's for my kids, for my husband, for me as a very pregnant woman right now. Like, I think that prioritizing my calm energy and my ability to be in a place of as much calm as possible to co-regulate with my kids for whatever is thrown at me throughout the day. If it's a temper tantrum, if it's a meltdown, if it's you know, we're running late for something, if it's something doesn't go the way that we wanted to, I feel that I'm much better equipped and prepared to flow with those things. Now.
A part of my mission with this show, Whole Plus, is to really stress the importance of a healthy family unit, and how when one person in a family is off, the entire family actually gets thrown off. You can't have a whole family. Well, Katherine Schwarzenegger and I have had many discussions around this concept of whole families. And believe it or not, she's actually my next guest. Please join me in welcoming Katherine Schwarzenegger Pratt, a New York Times bestselling author, an animal advocate, and a devoted wife and mother. As an ambassador for Best Friends Animal Society and the ASPCA, she passionately raises awareness for animal rescue. She's also a global ambassador for Special Olympics and empowering others through her writing. In 2021, she launched BDA Baby, a popular Instagram live series discussing pregnancy and wellness, now available in YouTube and podcast. Her second children's book, Goodnight Sister, released in February 2023, explores the special bond between sisters. Katherine resides in LA with her family, and she is here today on Whole Plus. Welcome, Katherine. Thank you so much for being on this show. I'm so excited to talk to you about all these things, but let's just jump right into it. So, Katherine, I was actually scrolling this weekend, and my eye caught, it's so ironic that we're doing this today, but my eye caught a little clip of something that I've really, really believed in. And it was talking about the fact that grandmothers influence their granddaughters and grandsons so greatly, to the point that their DNA is often imprinted upon them and influencing them far into their adult years and beyond. And back in, I think, 2017, 2018, I actually did a TED Talk talking about the fact that the maternal line of inheritance is so important. In fact, the mitochondrial DNA transfers grandmother to mom to grandchild intact, often without being, messed with very much. So the thoughts and feelings and the emotions of our grandmothers and great grandmothers were often carrying with us. And ironically, we are talking today about the Grandmother Project. So universe is something. So I want to know more about why you started this. What was your motivation or incentive, to start this type of project, and sort of what's come of it as you've dug in?
Well, the Grandmother Project was something that we did in honor of Mother's Day. So my mom and I did it together, and it was really interesting and fun. And we basically just wanted to do it to dive into all of the dynamics of grandmotherhood and motherhood together. And, my mom and I are both in these new chapters of life where I'm a mom. I'm 4 years into being a mom, and she's 4 years into being a grandmother. And so we're both kind of in these new spaces that we're navigating and experiencing together. And it's been such an amazing experience, and also learning from so many other people's dynamics of like what to do and what not to do
definitely
within the grandmother and mother dynamic, and also the in-laws, and just like so many different ways to, experience motherhood and grandmotherhood. And so it was a really interesting experience to be able to interview so many mothers and daughters, and also mothers with mother-in-laws, and just to talk about the varying dynamics in families and in households, and of course how that impacts raising our children, and especially now how people are leaning on their kids' grandparents so much for childcare because everything is so expensive. And so we had a great time doing it. My mom and I are super close, so it was really fun for us to be able to do together, and also to just learn from so many different dynamics, and
Yeah.
be able to walk away and talk about that was really great.
Is there something that you guys came away from? Like we had my husband's mom live with us, once for about 10 years or so until her death. And it was really special, the bond that she had with my children. That's not something that I had. Like my grandparents were in another country. I never really had that sort of bond or relationship with them. But, is there something, I'm curious, that came out as a universal truth? Like, what is the role of the grandmother? Where is that of value when we think of parenting in general, which we're going to talk about parenting in just a minute, but that's a whole sticky situation in today's culture, period, in terms of navigating all the things that come with parenting. What is the grandmother's modern day role?
I mean, I think it changes really for every single family and every dynamic, because everybody has such a different and unique setup. Some people have their grandparents live with them. Their kids' grandparents live with them. Other people, have them in different countries. I grew up with my grandma coming to visit us quite a lot, but for us going to visit her as well. But she lived across the country, so I didn't see
Mhm.
her as much. And the idea that both of my girls are growing up with their grandparents being 5 minutes away from them and seeing them, multiple times a week, being able to have special days with them, being able to have dinners and lunches and, have them come to different activities with them is such a huge gift. And it's not one that I take for granted at all, because it's something that I know how lucky I am to be able to have that. And also just that support. So if I'm, unable to pick up my daughter from
Yeah,
school,
such
my
a
mom picks
relief.
her up. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely an incredible blessing to be able to have the close proximity to my mom and to my dad. And just to be able to have their involvement in my kids' lives is such a huge game changer. I think also, we talk a lot about just the time that kids spend with their grandparents and being able to learn from those experiences and the stories that they hear from their grandparents is something that you can't get anywhere else. You can't get that
So
in
true.
school. You can't get that, in any classes. So that relationship and that bond and those lessons and experiences that my kids have had and will continue to be able to have with their grandparents is such a huge gift. So, I mean, I think that the kind of universal takeaway is really what a gift that is. And also the fact that
Mm,
this
love
generation of
that.
parenting is really going back to really leaning on grandparents as caretakers and people to be heavily involved in their kids' lives. I think there was, you know, a period of time where people didn't necessarily do that.
Right.
And we're going back to that kind of how we were originally designed to live, people living together in close proximity. And that's how as like human beings were meant to live, and also to expand families in that way. So it's a huge gift to be able to do that.
I think that's so true. I think that it's been a little bit, I want to say, almost a failed experiment of the nuclear isolated family. And there's
Mm-hmm.
been so much stress and disease and illness associated with trying to sustain that. As
Right.
you talk to your friends and young women who are starting families and things like that, I know what I see in the exam room, but like, what is their experience of parenting like today? Do people feel like it is less stressful maybe than what people went through a decade ago or 2 decades ago? Or, are young parents today just really struggling in terms of trying to keeping all the balls in the air?
I mean, I would say that I feel like my generation of parents seem to be much more anxious and stressed out. And I think my mom and
Mhm.
the other grandparents that are around our kids say the same thing. Like they're like, you guys are so, like you have so much to worry about. You have so much to think about. There are amazing things that come from raising kids in this day and age. And there are also, the other side of it is being like information overload and,
Right.
just too much to think about, too much to worry about, too much to be aware of, which, comes with like a blessing and a curse with social media. So
Yeah.
I, I think that, if I had to like group in the overall feeling of how people are feeling that are raising kids right now, I feel like they feel like they're anxious and also, like the nervous systems are not necessarily in a great place. And I really felt that honestly this summer in myself. Like I felt like I was at a point where I, over the summer was whatever, 7 months pregnant. And I was like, I have, I had a 3.5-year-old and a 2-year-old over the summer and pregnant. And so I felt like I was kind of on this edge of, being anxious all the time, and it wasn't benefiting my nervous system or the nervous system that I was able to have to co-regulate with my kids. And so I started, implementing meditation into my routine every single morning. And I have noticed such a dramatic difference in myself and also how I interact with my kids and just like how I parent, that I really, it's been so incredible and life-changing for me to be able to have more calm in my life. And I've noticed it just impact my parenting and my relationships with everyone, and especially my relationships with my kids. And just like the ability that I have to kind of like flow much easier. So that's been something that's really helpful for me. But I think prior to that, the kind of on edge or nervous system being frantic was definitely something I felt.
Well, that frantic nervous system, one of the things they talk about in Chinese medicine is that the health of the mom and the child go together. They're linked up. You can't separate the two. And what we're seeing in research now is that children's mental health and their stress is impacted by stress in the family, and then the stress that the mother perceives. It's such an important piece of the puzzle. So, finding opportunities to tone your cortisol levels down or calm your nervous system down is so important in this whole game of parenting. You talked about meditation. What are 3 ways you think that young moms, new moms, no matter what age or stage they're entering parenting? And I remember those early years, they're super stressful. You're adjusting to being a new mom. You're running between a career. Mine were 15 months apart, and I started the practice at the same time. It was complete chaos,
Yeah.
So, as I look back, I'm like, why? Why did we sign up for all of that at one time? So there was a little bit of like, maybe we should have been a little bit more methodical about it, space things out a little bit better, but things happen as they happen. What would you tell a mom listening today who's feeling that, who's just feeling like there's too much on their plate? They can't catch a breath. They don't have time to feed themselves. They're not sleeping. Where should they start in this game of parenting to really start to center and bring that sense of calm to the family?
I mean, I'm definitely not an expert in that. I would say that what's worked for me is finding a way to find my own calm, and that it has a ripple effect on being beneficial for my whole family, whether it's for my kids, for my husband, for me as a very pregnant woman right now. Like
Right.
I think that making that a priority for me and having that be a priority in my daily practice has been hugely beneficial for me. I learned a lot about the importance of being calm and regulating our nervous system because our kids co-regulate from us and with us.
Yeah.
So when I learned about that, it sounds like it's so simple and straightforward, but when I really learned about the benefits of that and having the parent be in a, as calm as possible place to co-regulate with their kids, that the benefits of that are incredible. And really finding whatever that looks like for you, if it's meditation, if it's, going on a walk, if it's exercising, whatever that looks like as being a helpful thing to implement into your daily routine. And, it's definitely not easy to do. Like I wake up now at 5 a.m. just to make sure that I can get my meditation in the morning before my kids wake up, and that I have that as a way to start my day before I have coffee, before I look at my phone. Like I wake up early to make sure that that's something that happens in my day. But I think that everybody has to do what works for them. For me, I've definitely noticed that prioritizing my calm energy and my ability to be in a place of as much calm as possible to co-regulate with my kids for whatever is thrown at me throughout the day. If it's a temper tantrum, if it's a meltdown, if it's
right.
we're running late for something, if it's something doesn't go the way that we wanted to, I feel that I'm much better equipped and prepared to flow with
Deal
those
with that.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I love that word, actually. I love that word and that idea of co-regulation, that we're sort of co-regulating with our children, in any given moment, because they really are reading our energy. And, my daughter is such a feeler and so sensitive. Like, before I say a word, she kind of knows what's going on with me, and she'll react to
Yeah.
that. And then I'm reacting to whatever she's reacting to. So anyhow, it's just so interesting to establish that cadence. One of the things too, and I've often said this, is that in the journey of being a new mom and raising children and starting this family, the dads get depressed. I don't know if you've seen that in your conversations with your guests or, amongst your friends and things like that, but the dads sometimes will feel like they're on the outside of it. And then they're sort of dealing with this new person, this mom who is, sometimes struggling with all the responsibilities on her plate. How do we help our partners, in this journey of parenting? And how do we do things like keep the actual relationship with our partners and kind of the romance alive as we are, again, kind of, really feeling like we're stretched and being pulled in multiple different directions?
I feel like that's something I'm definitely still learning. I think I grew up with my parents definitely having their own individual roles with parenting and how and what they were kind of in charge of with us kids. I would say that with Chris and I, we have from the very beginning, open communication and dialogue has been like the foundation in addition to other things. But it's been a huge priority for us to just be open with one another and communicate with one another and be able to check in. We're very honest with each other. So if I seem like I'm frazzled or stressed out or like maxed out, he'll say to me like, hey, what can I do to help here? What can I do? And I'm always, I'm the oldest in my family. So I'm very much like, I have to do it all myself.
Yep.
Nobody can help me.
No one can help me. Yep.
No one can help me. And I really learned, through being a mom and also being in a relationship like the one that I'm in, that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay. You have to be clear about that. That's really, really helpful for relationships, is to say like, hey, this is what you can help with, and this is what I can help with. And being open about that dialogue, not assuming people can read your mind. That was another big thing for me. It's like, I would assume like, exactly what I need here or what, and it's like, no, no, he doesn't, or no, in a relationship, they don't know what necessarily to do. So being able to have open communication and say like, this is a space that you can really help me in as a parent. This is a space as a partner you can really help me in. Or, here is a variety of different ways that I need more support and I need more help in this space. So I think that for me, being able to be comfortable asking for help, comfortable being open, and just knowing that like, when I look at Chris and I, at the end of the day, we're on the same team. Like we both want to raise well-rounded, good human beings as children that are healthy and happy. And that's both of our goal. And so being in a place where we're butting heads is not helpful for anybody. And we both have the same goal every single day and the same intention, and we have the same values. And so remembering that even when you are maxed out on your nervous system or you feel like overwhelmed in parenting, which happens a lot, just keeping that in mind. Like we're on the same team. We're, check in with each other, make an effort to make that time. And it doesn't have to look like a date night. Like I would love to say that every single week we make sure that we go on a date night. and I know date nights are really important, but they just don't happen every week because life happens.
Right.
So
Very
finding
much.
other ways to connect and to stay connected is really important. If that's going on a walk, a hike, if it's, you know, putting your phones away after you get the kids to sleep and just like sitting and connecting with one another and talking, that's another great thing to do. So like there's a variety of different ways that if you can't make date night happen to connect, that you can make other ways.
Very much. I remember my husband asked me a question. He was like, why are women always on their phones at every traffic light? And I'm like, because they're overburdened. They have
Mhm.
so much to do and usually so many different logistics to plan for different members of the family. So usually they're just trying to get one more thing done and off their list. And I think one of the things that I noticed with myself and even with many of my patients is that they were losing the connection to their partners because they were so busy getting their to-do list done.
Mhm.
And it's taken me a little bit of maturity and understanding, like, it's okay, put the phones away. There should be at least 15 to 20 minutes daily, if not more, where you're looking at each other, speaking to each other, you're not scrolling, and sometimes that's worth way more than a date night at a restaurant that
For
takes a lot
sure.
of planning and logistics and all that other stuff, especially with, younger children. So I think that's such a thing. And then the whole thing of, I got this, I can do it myself. So many women fall into that. Why
Yeah.
is that? Like, I'm not going to
I
hire help. I'm not going to ask for help, so
Yeah,
all of
I mean,
those things.
I honestly feel like it's just being the oldest for me. Like I feel like
Yeah.
I always pride myself and I'm like, I got this. I can do it. I can do like I'm
Right.
going to do this myself. I'm going to do and my sister is a year and a half younger than me. And I remember when I think I was my last pregnancy, I was carrying I was very pregnant with Eloise and I was carrying Lila and the diaper bag and my purse and like this other bag. And she's like, let me help you. And I was like, no, it's fine. I got it. And she was like, Katherine, you don't, you don't need to prove anything to me. Like, I know you're strong. I know you're capable. Let me help you carry this stuff to your car. And I was like, fine. But it's like, until you have someone who can, give it to you straight and just be like, there's nothing you don't need to do this. Like
Right.
I can help you. It's okay. You're still just as strong and capable as you were before. You let me help you. Like, it's a different mentality and mindset, but it's definitely, it's true.
Definitely important. And if it's your blind spot, remember, like, to kind of to see past it, because I think so many people get into trouble. So many new moms get into trouble with that. You are what, 8 months? How pregnant are you right now?
Oh no. Right now I am like, I could go into labor while I'm on this call
Oh
with
my
you right now.
goodness. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for being
Ideally,
here. Oh
ideally we
wow.
would have that happen.
And this
I
is your
know.
this is your third, right?
This
Third
is,
baby?
yeah, this is my third baby and um, I don't know what I'm having and it's really exciting. It's like a surprise that I feel like everybody who knows me knows that I like to plan and like
Right.
know as much information as possible. So the fact that I don't know if I'm having a boy or girl stresses everyone out around me. But I feel very like, excited and good about it. So I think, yeah, I'm like, I'm full term ready to have a baby and embracing the time of what that will bring and also understanding that like the newborn days are a little crazy and
They're crazy.
two I have two toddlers that I'm also like, they're going to go through their own adjustment period and you know everybody's going to go through a moment of trying to find their groove and being aware of that and comfortable with it, as comfortable as I can be with it. And also always remembering that like my siblings are my best friends and I'm the
Amazing.
oldest of four. And we have a similar age spacing in my family as our kids are. And so I always try to remember, like, anytime I think, my God, my two oldest are going to feel like I'm neglecting them or I'm like, I'm like, I never felt that with my mom. Like
Wow. Yeah.
I never felt, and my mom is, the best mom in the entire world and just does
Love
like,
that.
she's
Yeah.
like insane. But, I try to remember that a lot because it's always like, I think parents go back and forth with like, this is really exciting. And then also feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to give my
I'm not
kids the
doing enough.
same
Yeah.
attention. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm excited. We'll see.
I'm excited for you. Is there something I've got to ask? Is there something you did this pregnancy to prepare for the postpartum period or during the pregnancy that was different from the other ones, or not necessarily?
My first pregnancy and postpartum was like in the thick of COVID. So I literally did nothing. Like I stayed home. I was by myself. I was isolated. I definitely experienced a lot of like postpartum anxiety. After my first daughter, Lila, was born. And it was like anxiety about, getting sick, about, making sure that I didn't do anything to, um, risk my health or her health. I was by myself a lot. So I felt very lonely and isolated in that space because even though my family was 10 minutes away from me, you couldn't see anybody until they were tested or in a quarantine. So it was a very
Gosh.
challenging postpartum. My second, I would say, it was still in COVID times, but you had the ability to like know a little bit more about, um, how to keep each other safe. And I really leaned on my family in that time. And that was amazing. I also introduced a lot of the kind of, Ayurvedic, uh, philosophies about healing postpartum,
I love that.
with my second, after Eloise was born. And that to me was like dramatically impactful with my hormones and
Wow.
my healing process. And I really like, for me this time, as doing it a third time, I fully intend on doing the same, warming foods and nourishing foods. And I breastfed both my girls for 15 months. And I really, for me, it was like about healing myself from the inside out and being, very present with my newborn, but also understanding that your body just spent 40 weeks growing a human and
Yes.
also an entire organ. And then have both of those leave your body, and that takes time to heal and recover from. And feeding your body and nourishing your body and taking care of your body is an amazing way to do that. And obviously you don't get enough sleep. You don't get, you don't drink enough water, you don't eat enough food, but doing it where you can and setting yourself up in advance was helpful for me last time. And I've tried to do that as much as I can this time. And then there's parts of it that I'm just like, I don't even know, because I've never had two kids that are in a bunch of activities and
Right.
also have a newborn. So I'm kind of, that part of it I'm unknown about, but I would say that I'm setting myself up this time to have my girls fully, entertained and occupied by my mom and sister
Amazing.
as much as possible. And then, also have myself set up and, cared for as much as possible going into it as I can.
I love that you mentioned that. You know that I am a champion of bringing these Eastern sort of practices, whether it's
Yes.
Ayurveda or Chinese medicine, into the healing picture, because I think we don't honor, a lot of what needs to happen when we're raising children, bearing children, all of the above. And so both systems of medicine, every Eastern system of medicine I've ever looked at, talks about that 6 weeks or those 40 days of really needing to heal, nourish your gut, nourish your liver, get in as many nutrients and vitamins, and be supported by all the
Mm-hmm.
people around you and ask for that support. So I'm so glad that you are on that path. That is my passion and my
Yay.
mission. So,
I
and I'm
love
wishing
it.
you so much luck. I know, we're short on time today, but I can't wait to hear how everything goes and to even
Thank
see your
you.
little one. I'm so excited for you and definitely want to be supportive of your journey as well. But before you leave us, I have to ask you this question. What
Yes.
makes you whole?
My family, for
Oh, I
sure.
love that.
Yeah,
Family is the root.
definitely.
Yep.
Family is like everything for me. And it's like the number one most important thing for me every day, always, no matter what. Family, family,
Mhm.
family.
I love that. I
Yeah.
am aligned with you that way. I think it's really what brings our meaning into existence very much. So good luck and lots
Thank
of love
you.
and kisses and hugs and all of those things. I can't
Thank
wait
you
to
so
see how it all
much.
turns out. And of course, we'll stay in touch. But thank you so
Yes.
much for taking some time today to join me and share your wisdom and your experience with so many people who really truly are struggling right now and just need to hear how it's done and how many of us are tackling parenting, relationships, raising children in today's society, and really leaning into that concept and idea of family as being the grounding force that helps us get through all of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I'll make sure to check in postpartum. We'll see how
Yes,
it's all
please
going.
do. I am here for you. Please
Thank
do for
you.
sure. All right, take care.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening and watching today's episode of Whole Plus. Be sure to share this episode with your friends and family. And if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast on YouTube or click the follow button on Apple, Spotify, or wherever it is that you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow me on all social channels at Dr. Taz MD. Until next time, stay healthy and stay whole.